Hey everyone, I am Dan O'Callaghan. Welcome to Do Art with Dan. It has been a while. I'm sorry I dropped out on YouTube for a little while there. I have had some personal stuff going on, and there's been a lot of global cultural things going on, and I just sort of felt like I should step back and focus on some other things, on some writing and whatnot. I mean, ideally, maybe it would have been better if I had a stuck around and done some art videos and been out there sort of encouraging people to, put your chin up and, you know, like push through these environmental afflictions and distractions that have certainly plagued me in a way that I wish it hadn't. I have let these environmental factors dictate what I do and how I behave and how I feel, and it's not been great. But I've definitely had a bit of a awakening, and it can be frustrating when you feel like you've already had this kind of a wake-up call, and then you have to keep having it again, like in your mid-20s, in your late 20s, and I'm going on to be 30 soon. I'm sure there'll be another one where I have to be woken up again to being too influenced by the outside world. But yeah, that's all getting right off topic. So what I want to share with you today are 5 things to motivate you to get back into drawing or get back into being creative in any capacity. I think I've also got a couple of things in here that'll just help with, generally making yourself feel a bit better and giving you something different to do in your day. So if you're trying to get back into drawing and you sort of felt a bit in the dumps about it lately, or you've never even tried drawing before, maybe this is a video for you. So 5 things in maybe 5 minutes, beginning with number 1. A lot of people watching this video right now, you're probably watching a lot of things like movies and TV shows. You're getting a lot of inspiration and stimulation and ideas. So this first art practice that I want to show you, I think will help you just unplug a bit and get into more of a meditative state. And it might sound a bit simplistic, but just sitting down with a few pieces of paper and drawing a bunch of circles and a bunch of lines and some squiggly lines and some different shapes and whatnot, keeping it very simple, and just this will help you to train your hand a little bit more, to give you a little bit more dexterity, a little bit more strength in your drawing hand. And I think it's also, like I said, it's meditative, like getting into that point of repetition of doing these circles and these lines over and over. I think it really does help just unwind and switch off. So maybe try that for like 10 minutes or something, or do a half an hour session of it. Yeah, fill a whole page, fill like 5 pages. I think it'll really help. Just get you started for sure. Especially if you're feeling like, oh, I can only draw stick figures, which, by the way, that mentality is like, it's not true at all. I don't subscribe to that at all, that human beings can only do certain things. Like, I'm not that great at maths, but I'll betcha if I picked up a book or, listened to a podcast or something for a day or two, I would probably get my maths a lot better. Like, there is nothing that you can't do. You just have to be open to trying out new things and accepting that in the beginning you'll suck at them. But yeah, lines, squiggles, circles, and then drawing circles within circles and then back between those circles, trying not to touch the lines, trying to keep them as consistent as possible. Like, if your circles are looking a bit footballish, try and get them more into that perfect circle shape. And yeah, I think you can advance even further than that once you've done a few pages of that, and you can start giving these basic shapes like circles or triangles a little bit of character. Like once you've like got your line consistent and you're fluid, turn that circle into a bit of a beanbag and like draw it as if it's being thrown through the air, or draw it as if it's being thrown against a wall, or it's got life in it. There's something inside it maybe. The same with the triangle and just, yeah, those basic shapes. Like, you can push it further than you think once you've started steadying your hand and using the proper muscles in your shoulder and your arms and whatnot. On the other hand, there may be some of you who aren't as inspired as others. You might be pushing along at a job that you're pretty restricted in, and I think it might be prudent for you to switch off the comedy that you watch every afternoon and jump over to something different. Like, explore some new ideas, explore some new books, some new movies, genres that you haven't looked into before. I think this will help you discover new things that interest you, and they might inspire more creative energy to illustrate or write or whatever it may be. Try and put some time aside for you to do a little bit of research. Go out there and get inspired. If you're in that meditative state with the circles and squares and lines, and you're feeling like you have a much steadier hand, if you're now then inspired and influenced and discovering new things, you might want to move on to drawing something completely different. Like, if you're always drawing, as I tend to enjoy doing, robots or aliens or whatever, it's just I tend to go towards those kinds of strange things. It's probably beneficial for me to have a go at drawing animals, or actually better yet, like houses and environments and like mountains and, you know, those sorts of things, backgrounds, and, you know, maybe do a bit of life drawing. That would probably be beneficial for me. On the other hand, you might just be doing patterns and like sort of abstract designs and whatnot, and maybe it is time to push yourself and have a go at some life drawing and having a go at a more realistic style. I know a lot of people promote like focus, like get really focused on one subject or one genre, but I think it really helps to try different styles first. For all you know, you may be doing certain designs or styles of art that are not even what brings you the most excitement. It might not be the style or the genre of art that's blocking you from enjoying, you know, what you're doing and creating something new. It could very well be the medium. Maybe it's time to put down the pencil and paper and have a go at sculpting, or have a go at painting with oils or acrylic. Maybe acrylic's a bit of a smarter way to go at first. If you Google it, I'm sure there's absolutely somewhere nearby where you can buy some clay, and it's usually between 15 and 20 bucks. Just some earthenware clay. Just, you know, it doesn't really matter what kind of clay you get. You could have a go at the coarser clay, or have a go at like a finer, smooth clay. And yeah, see how you like it. I know when I jumped into clay and started doing some sculpting, I was really shocked at just how much of a revelation it was for me. Like, I had spent so much of my creative time just focusing on illustration, and I really took to sculpting. It opened up a whole new way of doing artistic work. And finally, I think something that a lot of artists overlook is that we do need more social interaction as artists. I think there is so much benefit to your art and your own well-being and health and happiness to get feedback from other people and interact with other people who you have a kinship with, who do art as well. And whether that's at a pop culture convention or a local drink and draw, like where 5 or 10 people gather together at a restaurant. And I know that's been difficult over the last few months, but get out there and meet some people who live in your area who are into drawing and doodling. And there's usually a very casual and relaxed vibe at these places. I went down to Brisbane and did a couple of these back in the day. I should definitely go out and do more. The issue is, where I live on the Sunshine Coast, there isn't any. And I had once tried to start one, and I'm thinking I'm going to have another go at that. I'm sure there's an activity like that near you, whether you're in the city or maybe in the regional areas. You might find it a bit trickier, and maybe it might be a good idea to set up a dine out and do art. You know, do it yourself. Draw up a little basic poster and plaster it at the local uni or TAFE. And it could even lead to bigger and better things. It could lead to collaborations. You could get into making art together, which would be, you know, phenomenal. So I didn't number them as I went, but there were 5 things there. The meditative circles and line drawing, just to, you know, exercise your drawing muscles. There was the getting inspired by having a look at some other books or other genres of film. And then there was drawing something different, you know, having a go at drawing something in a completely different style or genre. Of course, then we had trying a different medium, you know, clay, acrylic paints, oil paints, Vegemite on bread. Try and draw a portrait on a piece of toast. And then, of course, we had getting social. Go out and do art. Dine out and do art. I hope these little ideas of motivation have helped you out and given you some inspiration to go out and do art. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Look after yourselves and decide to do art. Don't let these outside forces push you away from doing stuff that you're really passionate about.